Our very own Melissa Morford began working at the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa in February of 2015 as a neuro resource facilitator, serving a nine-county service area that includes the East Central MHDS region. In addition to serving as a neuro resource facilitator, Melissa also helps manage various outreach responsibilities at BIA. Some of these projects include managing and coordinating the unmasking brain injury efforts, creating various marketing materials for us, writing the monthly brainstorming and Neuro Nuggets newsletters, and managing our website and other various projects. Melissa graduated from Iowa State University and has previous experience working in family services, children's services, and working with adults with disabilities. So I will go ahead and unmute Melissa and let her get started. Thanks, Melissa.
Well, happy to be here and excited to share information with all of you about a project that I have been working on closely here over the past few months at the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa. As Annie mentioned, my name is Melissa Morford, and I am the Manager of Neuro Resource Facilitation Outreach here at Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa. And today I will be reviewing information with you about the new Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa resource guide that we just created. So today's webinar is going to be fairly brief, but the intent is really just to kind of give you a warm introduction to the resource guide that we created. Just some information about how to use it, why we made it, how and where you can go about finding a copy of the resource guide. And then I also just wanted to just provide a quick review of some of the services and supports that we offer here at BIA. Just for some of you that might be new to our agency or just need a kind of a quick refresher on what we do. I guess I want to encourage people to just ask questions throughout. If you guys have any questions, happy to stop and answer those as we are going along. So first, I would like to just review some of those services and supports that we offer here at the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa. Some of you may know we were founded in 1980. We are a charter chapter of the United States Brain Injury Alliance. We are one of 16 chapters across the United States. The Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa specifically, we provide services throughout the state of Iowa. So we serve all 99 counties. Most of our services are primarily based by phone, and we really exist to support, assist, and advocate for individuals with acquired brain injury and their families. But we also work to educate the public, increase the statewide awareness of brain injury as a serious disability with lifelong consequences, and that's through the development and distribution of information materials, news, notices of conferences and symposiums that we hold, and other meetings. So we like to do lots of educational efforts throughout the state as well. Just a couple of services and supports that we offer, lots of different types of programs that we offer here at the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa. That first one there, the Iowa Brain Injury Resource Network, or our IBRN sites. This is an informational or support system that was created to begin meeting the needs of Iowa families experiencing brain injury, and then also the providers that assist them. So within our Iowa Brain Injury Resource Networks, we have a lot of level 1 and 2 trauma centers and various other types of providers involved. And essentially what the goal of these network sites is to distribute our information here about the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa, pass out information from our TOTE bag program, which is a program that you guys might be familiar with already, and then also share information about this new resource guide that we have available and pass those out to individuals as they might go through some of, again, the level 1 and 2 trauma centers and other provider locations. The next one I have listed here, the Iowa Concussion Consortium, or also known as ICC. This consists of a group of providers that was formed to address the statewide need for reliable information about concussion for Iowans. So we have lots of efforts that are going on throughout the state of Iowa just to help provide some evidence-based information about concussion management. So a lot of information that we have that we provide through this group is specific to students, parents, school administrators, coaches, teachers, various people that might be involved with concussion management for a student after they've had a concussion or other mild brain injury. Another big area or program that we support here in the state of Iowa are the support groups that we offer. We have a number of different support groups, and we're happy to say that they span throughout the state of Iowa. So that information is information you can certainly access on our website about where those groups are that might be near you. And then we also offer a Facebook support group as well for individuals who might not be able to attend in-person support groups. The other program that we have here, which is really our core service that we offer, is called Neuro Resource Facilitation, or NERF for short. It's a fee-free service offered by the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa to help people with brain injury, their families, caregivers, and other people in the community navigate medical and general life challenges after a brain injury. So we offer support in coping with various types of issues that individuals might experience after they've had a brain injury, and really help provide supports to individuals as they transition back to work, back to their community. And so we just work to try to get information to those individuals. Information might include brain injury specific educational information about different types of symptoms that people have experienced from their brain injury. We work to provide we work to enhance natural supports and provide linkage just to various community resources that might be available to individuals. And then we also really work to share information with individuals about how to access and secure different types of funding options that might be available in both the private and public setting as well. The next thing here mentioned is the technical assistance for professionals, which are also known as our case consultations. This is just information that we try to provide to individuals that have a brain injury, as well as the professionals that are supporting them on any case-specific questions that they might have. So this might be supporting individuals in service planning, if difficulties are encountered in a residential setting. Those are places that we can offer support or assistance, and just kind of providing some feedback about what might be more helpful for individuals that have had a brain injury. The next one there is just the different types of educational events that we offer. These are usually provided throughout the state of Iowa, but one of our big ones is the annual conference that we hold every year in March. We also hold a lot of webinars, just like this one here today. And that information is always posted online as well for individuals to access at a later time. But then we also host a variety of different types of community trainings and different workshops throughout the year, just so people locally can get as much information as possible about brain injury. And then the last one listed here is just information about advocacy. So we have a set of different legislative priorities that we have that we put together each year. And then we also host an annual Hill Day, just as an effort to, again, advocate for individuals that have had a brain injury. And this is just a nice little visual representation that we always kind of like to show. Just really kind of encompasses all of the different systems that individuals with a brain injury might have to navigate through after they've had a brain injury. So just a couple of different examples. Here at the top, you'll see SSA office, which is the Social Security Administration office, which is kind of just a difficult system to sometimes understand, and so that's where we can kind of just provide some insight about where to go and help provide questions or answers to different questions that people might have. You'll also see some information on there about hospital or acute rehab settings or skilled nursing facilities. Those are all different types of care that individuals might receive after a brain injury. So we just kind of provide feedback to individuals and their family members, caregivers, that sort of thing about what that process looks like and how one might transition through that particular type of continuum of care. So again, just a few examples here and just a nice little visual representation. But the most important thing to take away is how to get connected to us. As I mentioned, we serve individuals all across the state of Iowa. On average, I think we serve about 3,000 people on an annual basis. So lots of people are calling into our toll-free line, which is that number listed at the top there, 855-444-6443. We encourage people to call us with questions that might come up. And then we sometimes, depending on the needs of the individual, might assign them to one of our neuro resource facilitators, which would then give them access to a local phone number or a person in one of our local offices. We do have offices throughout the state of Iowa, one in Urbandale, one in Waterloo, and then one here in Iowa City. So people are also welcome to call those local numbers with different questions that they might have as well. We also have a ton of different resources and information listed on our website. As you can see there on that third line, our website is www.biaia.org. So, you are welcome to go to that website, check out the information we have on there. Again, just a variety of different resources available to individuals. And then a lot of people connect to us at some of those local training events or workshops that we have, or different meetings throughout the state. And then also there's a registry for individuals that have sustained a traumatic brain injury in the state of Iowa, and so sometimes people get connected to us through that as well. So next, the bulk here of the time, I am going to just kind of provide that overview of the new resource guide that we recently developed. But before I kind of talk about the resource guide, it helps to give some background information about the TOTE bag program that we had, or still do have here at the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa. The TOTE bag program has been around for a number of different years. It was initiated back in 1998, so that was about 20 years ago. We really developed that program back in 1998 as a response to a needs assessment that was done, in which people with brain injury and their family members just voiced to us that they often lacked or failed to retain information from a medical setting upon discharge from care. And they just described that the feeling after being discharged was like walking off of a plank. There was just a lot of unknown information, a lot of confusion about what changes to expect, what somebody with a lifelong disability from a brain injury might experience. And so this tote bag was really just developed to put information into the hands of individuals about basic information about brain injury. So it includes common information about physical, emotional, social, cognitive, and family changes that might occur after a brain injury. And as I mentioned earlier, the goal is really to kind of help make sure that people have that tote bag as they enter into a hospital or through a provider. So we have for a long time gotten those tote bags to individuals through the various iBurn sites, or those Iowa Brain Injury Resource Network sites. And that has allowed us to provide that information to individuals. So we do have some goals every year that we make surrounding the tote bag program here currently. So I've just listed the goals here that were listed for us for this year. The first one there is the Iowa Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa will utilize the Iowa Brain Injury Resource Network tote bag program as a means for information dissemination statewide. So our goal really there is to make sure that we really pass out information to all parts of the state of Iowa, not just focusing, on the large urban areas and the large metropolitan hospitals, but also making sure that the information gets to the more rural parts of the state of Iowa as well. This year, we had a goal this was last year's goal for 2017. We had a goal to get out 1,200 tote bags, and that was using the most cost-effective means possible. And we actually surpassed that goal, and we were able to get out 1,600 or 1,624 tote bags throughout the state of Iowa last year. So we're always working to get that information into the hands of as many people as possible. So the tote bag program, again, just kind of provides a segue into why we created the resource guide. It's been a great tool, as I mentioned before, over the years for individuals that we've worked with. Not only has it helped us connect to thousands of Iowans for our services here at the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa, but it also has provided educational information for individuals, their loved ones, their caregivers after a brain injury. And we've had a really positive response over the years for the tote bags. However, we have over the last few years, we've received some common feedback comments about the tote bags that we wanted to work to address. So the resource book or this new resource guide kind of became that vehicle for us to provide this new and additional information and to kind of help facilitate a few changes that were needed. So at this time, we do not by any means plan to replace the tote bag program with the resource guides, but essentially what we're planning to do as of right now is to supplement the tote bag program by adding in the additional information about the resource guide. So the resource guide can be included in our tote bag, or if individuals just want the resource guide, they can get that as well. It's a flexible plan about how we plan to use this resource guide. But again, the tote bags will still exist. The new resource guide will provide a more organized document for individuals that had difficulty with all the separate handouts and leaflets that are in the tote bag. Again, if any of you have had experience using that tote bag, you know that there's lots of just one-page handouts that exist in the bag, and it's an actual physical bag. Really, when we as NERF were working with individuals, sometimes we would get an occasional just complaint that it was hard to locate information just based on trying to have them leaf through all of the different handouts that existed. And so we wanted to make sure that we addressed that. But then it was also easy to misplace a page or two as they were trying to go through the documents. So the new resource guide includes information in a table of contents format, and we have page numbers on it, and it's all stapled so that it's all in one concise document. And again, that was really kind of just intended to make it easier for the reader or the user to make sure that it was organized in the most efficient way possible. The new resource guide will also help to reduce the cost associated with our tote bags. A lot of the materials in our current existing tote bags are copyrighted materials, so we can't reproduce those by just copying them. We have to purchase them directly from the authors. But we also have to a lot of times resend entire tote bags to individuals because they might misplace a document or two. And so again, this resource guide was just kind of developed to help us address that to a degree and allowed us to send the information to individuals more quickly, I guess you could say, in an email format, and then all just making sure that it's in that one concise document as well. And then the last piece here, the tote bag materials, as previously mentioned, exist in the form of separate handouts or those different leaflets. So sometimes it can be difficult to click through each one of those documents on our website or online. So our resource guide, however, it will exist digitally as one clickable link. So all of the information in it, you don't have to click around to a bunch of different places to get to the information. It'll just be in one spot. So you can open up the document and then you can just scroll through all of the information. So here is just the front page or the cover page of the new resource guide, just so you can all have an idea of what it looks like on the outside. It might seem pretty plain to a lot of individuals, but the intent there was really to just sort of make it as plain as possible, just to prevent any confusion or overwhelming information for the reader. So lots of white space, and the colors are pretty simple, but again, that was kind of created with intent to make sure that the reader had the easiest experience or use while reading this document. So after you open up that first page of the resource guide, you'll have an inside cover page. And this is, again, just very brief and just kind of provides some information about how to use this guide. So I'm going to read this verbatim just because I don't know that it's probably large enough for everybody to read there on your screen. But it reads, brain injury is a complicated diagnosis, and understanding this new world can be confusing and overwhelming after an injury has occurred. For more than 35 years, the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa has been working to be there for Iowans who find themselves navigating this unanticipated landscape. We have created this resource guide to assist individuals who have experienced a brain injury, their caregivers, and the professionals who work with them in better understanding brain injury. This guide offers general information about brain injury and may answer some specific questions you have. If you need further assistance, please feel free to reach out to us here at the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa. Our core service, called Neuro Resource Facilitation, is a fee-free service offered in the state of Iowa to help individuals navigate medical and general life changes after a brain injury. To learn more about our supports available or how we may assist you, please contact us at 855-444-6443 or at info@biaia.org. So one important line I guess I just wanted to make sure that I pulled out from that was in the second paragraph there, where it says that this guide offers general information about brain injury and may answer some specific questions that you have. So this guide, we didn't want it to be a large textbook by the end of it. So it's 30-some pages, I think 34 pages to be exact. And it's really just intended to provide brief introductory information about brain injury and about the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa. But the other important thing that I wanted to point out is that it's really kind of serves as a segue for individuals to call us with additional questions. So while this might provide the brief introduction and general information about brain injury, ultimately we still encourage people to call us with questions about some of the specifics that might be related to their own brain injury. So this next page here, it just kind of gives, again, another visual representation of what those table of contents look like. There in red, you will see it circled, that it's kind of broken into two halves. The first half is information about brain injury. So we titled that section Understanding Brain Injury. And then the second half of the resource guide just covers specific information about the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa, so information that's specific to our agency. And each of those sections, they contain these different topics here. So, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on all of this, but I just want to kind of give you a little bit of a summary about what each one of these sections kind of talks about, just so you have an idea of what the information is in each section that it might cover. So the first one there is definitions and causes. So this section really talks about the difference between acquired brain injury and then traumatic brain injury. And just as a disclosure, we work with individuals that have that have had either type of injury. So we don't discriminate between the two different types of injury. But it is important to kind of break down the definition for the understanding purpose for people to know a little bit more about their injury. But then it also reviews the different lobes of the brain. So some of you might know that we have the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe, the parietal and occipital lobe. And it just kind of provides some brief information about what those different lobes of the brain are responsible for. The next section there is rehabilitation. One thing I guess I wanted to point out in this section, there is a really nice visual representation of how people might transition through the continuum of care after their injury. A lot of times we get questions about that as neuro resource facilitators here. And then it also just kind of gives specific definitions related to the different systems of care, again, related to that continuum of care after a person's had an injury. So it talks about the difference between acute rehab versus post-acute rehab versus skilled nursing. It even kind of briefly talks about what community-based neurobehavioral services are, which is a little bit of a newer term here in the state of Iowa. The next piece there, I'm kind of lumping a few of them together here, but there are various types of specialties. So these few sections here, lots of information in this book about the importance of identifying a primary care provider, but then also goes in to describe the different types of specialty providers. So what a neurologist does or a neuropsychologist, the different types of therapists that exist, physical therapists, occupational therapists, vision therapists, etc. And then in the next section there, you will see information. Again, this is a very brief section that just kind of gives an introduction to what some of the long-term problems are after a brain injury. We, again, want to encourage people to talk to us here as the neuro resource facilitators in more detail about specific side effects that people might have from any lifelong disabilities that they might be experiencing. But this section just kind of gives, again, a brief overview about headaches, seizures, fatigue, vision changes, cognition, and memory. The next couple of sections here, we talk about assistive technology, what to expect at home. Again, didn't want to make this into a textbook, so just provide some definitions and descriptions about need to know information, and then just, again, encourages people to contact us here at the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa with additional questions. This next section, funding for services, is probably a section that a lot of people will probably benefit a lot from. It is just kind of addresses some of the most common questions we hear about related to funding. So we go into some information here about different types of private health insurance, state public insurance, which includes information about like Medicaid and MHDS region funding. Also some information about federal public insurance. So information about Medicare, or it also includes some information about SSDI. But then also even talks about in a little bit more detail in this section about the different types of trusts that individuals might need to get set up in order to help acquire different types of funding. The next section there, working after a brain injury. This section just kind of points to a couple of different resources that are available here in the state of Iowa for individuals that are looking to return to work. So these resources are really all encompassing. So individuals with a wide array of different types of skills or different types of levels of functioning might be able to access some of these resources. Emotional and behavioral health is the next section there. And again, very brief section, but just kind of talks about some basic information related to depression, anxiety, counseling, support groups, medications, and substance abuse that people might experience after a brain injury. The next section there talks about children and mild brain injury. This section really builds upon information that we already share with students, parents, and teachers, coaches, and other school staff, through our Iowa Concussion Consortium. But this area, or this particular section, just kind of holds more information about return to learn and return to play strategies, and then just a brief overview of what IEPs or 504 plans are for individuals who might be considering those. This next section here, aging with a brain injury and falls prevention. Here in the state of Iowa, falls are the leading cause of traumatic brain injury, and adults aged 65 and up are most greatly impacted. So we wanted to make sure that we had a section here for individuals that were interested in working to prevent those falls from happening or preventing a brain injury. So it includes some information about some evidence-based prevention falls programs. So that's things like Tai Chi, or a Matter of Balance program, or the Stepping On program. It also reviews a couple of tips that the Iowa Department of Health offers in one of their handouts about 6 different things you can do to prevent falls. The family and caregiver section, this section just kind of talks a little bit in more detail about ambiguous loss and grief, guardianship, power of attorney information, and then how to encourage supported decision making. And then the last section in this first half of the resource guide is called Brain Injury Prevention. And again, really just wanted to focus on the prevention piece, because right now that's the only cure for brain injuries, to prevent it from happening in the first place. And so this talks about falls prevention, bike safety, and helmet safety. So then this second half of the book, I'll go through this one here a little bit faster, but Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa, again, is the title of the second half of the resource guide. This particular area really just goes through some information here about the history and the mission about the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa. We throw a couple of statistics in there about brain injury in both the state of Iowa and within the United States. And then we also just, again, provide an overview, just as I may have done here earlier today, about some of the programs that we offer at the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa for those that are interested. And then we also have a little section toward the end just with some information about different survivor stories. And these stories come from individuals that we've worked with over the years and just kind of serve as a source of insight and inspiration for those who might be going through the journey themselves after a brain injury. And then we also are sure to list our resources and citations on the last page of the book. And not only do we want to give credit to those where we pulled information from, but it also gives the opportunity for the reader to seek out more information if they would like to look into any of these resources a little bit further. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it in kind of reviewing the table of contents. Next, I want to just kind of give you an example here of what one of the pages looks like, or one of the sections look like. I'm not going to go through every page of this booklet here today, but this is the first section of the book. It's titled General Information About Brain Injury. So that was that first part that I reviewed there, where I mentioned that it kind of goes over the different lobes of the brain. So here you'll see a visual representation, and then a little section that talks about what each of those lobes of the brain are responsible for, and then just provides just again a brief idea of what some of the definitions are related to brain injury. So, and again, you'll kind of notice here on this page that this particular format that we created this in was just again really intended to be easy for an individual to read. So we have a lot of white space. And again, that white space was just kind of intended for individuals to add in their own notes or circle information and add highlighted areas to talk about later with us here as neuro research facilitators. Just again, it allows more space for individuals to kind of add in their own information as they see fit. So then I wanted to, I guess, just kind of show you guys how you could locate the resource guide. If you go to our website, so again, our website is www.biaia.org. You'll see a little navigation panel at the top of the website, and one of those is titled Resource Library. So you can hover over that or click on it, and then you'll have this drop down that appears. As you kind of scroll down on this drop bar, you'll see the tote bag there. I've circled it in red so you can kind of see it toward the bottom of that list of different navigation options underneath that resource library tab. So you can go ahead and click on that tote bag option. And then once you click on the tote bag option, you'll go to a new web page. And you'll see not only all of our existing tote bag handouts, which, as I mentioned before, in order to get all of those tote bag handouts, you have to click on each of those individual links. But this resource guide for Iowans affected by brain injury is just going to be in one hyperlink or one clickable link. So toward the bottom of all of those little handouts that are listed on this particular web page, you'll see that link right there. And I've just circled that here in red again. So, and when in doubt, you're all more than welcome, again, to just call us or email us, and we're happy to just send you a link as well. But this is just for those that are interested in accessing that information on their own from our website. So otherwise, that's kind of, again, just a very brief overview here of the resource guide, and it's just some basic information that is within it. So yeah, Annie, I'm going to turn it back over to you. I don't know if there's any questions from anyone, but happy to take those questions here now.
Thanks, Melissa. There's no questions right now, so I'll give everybody a minute. If you do have a question, go ahead and type it into that question box, and we'll get to it. But as you guys are doing that, if you have any, just as a reminder, like Melissa had said in her overview, that you can reach out to the Brain Injury Alliance of Iowa if you're ever in need of brain injury resources or information along, as well as professionals. So we're here to serve everyone. But I don't see any questions popping up right now. So I just want to thank you, Melissa, for being with us today, and thank you, everyone, and feel free to reach out to us if you need anything in the future.